In this segment of the Envision Tomorrow Plus training series, I want to talk about tying all the pieces of Envision Tomorrow Plus together. In other segments, we have talked about the building prototype library, creating a geodatabase, and the summary spreadsheet. So in this segment, I want to demonstrate how these pieces can work together so that you can use the tool in your community. Let's start off in ArcGIS, looking at an MXD. So what we have here is a pretty simple map. My base layer is an aerial, and I also have my study area boundary in yellow. If I wanted, I could add maybe a wetlands layer to act as a constraints layer, but for training purposes today, I've kept it simple and just included the aerial and the study area boundary. Now, of course, at this point, you should have your Envision Tomorrow Plus tools installed, and they appear on your toolbar here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the ET Paint tool, at which point it brings up this tool here. So I want to be careful to add the geodatabase and the Excel file in the same order. So it's very important that we follow these steps in a certain order. So step one would be to open the Envision File Geodatabase. So I'm looking at File, then I go to Open Envision File Geodatabase, click on that. I go out and find the appropriate geodatabase, and I add it to our map. At that point, we can see that the paint palette of our development types was brought in here and here. And at this point, we want to, again, go back to File, and we're going to go open our Excel file. So go to Open, so File, Open Envision Excel file, select, and find the appropriate summary spreadsheet. Open that. If you get this warning, hit Don't Update. And at that point, we are connected to both our geodatabase and our Excel spreadsheet. So let's go, if we go back to our Excel spreadsheet, we make sure everything's zeroed out. We're starting with a fresh spreadsheet. And we want to make sure that our scenario 1, I'm on the summary new tab, that our scenario 1 is going to line up with what we paint. So let's go to Edit Scenarios, make sure it's pointed to scenario 1 with the check mark, and then let's go to File, Define Scenarios, scenario 1, and make sure that we have connected to the right file. So this should match this over here, which it does. So at that point, we are going to start the editor. So simply start the editor. You notice the button changes, and we're going to select a paintbrush. If you notice on the drop-down arrow, we have a few choices. We have point brush, polygon brush, rectangle brush, circle, polyline. Choose whatever is appropriate for your area. Point brush is good for small parcels or smaller areas. I'm going to choose polygon today. Make sure it's turned on. And then I'm going to choose the appropriate development type. I chose Core C, and maybe this area we'll experiment with. Put that as Core C, paint that as Core C. You'll see the area gets highlighted. Maybe there's some general C in these blocks over here. And so after we're done painting our scenario, we are going to hit End Edit and save our edits. And we are going to go back to our summary spreadsheet and look at our output indicators to see what we've done. So we're again at scenario 1 on the summary new tab, and it looks like we painted a total of 11 acres. Most of that was mixed use, But as we go down the list here, we get all sorts of output indicators, including population, housing mix, housing tenure, the affordability of the housing units, the employment mix, jobs to housing balance, densities, walk-in transit friendliness, parking information, new infrastructure, new tax numbers, sustainability measures, all very valuable indicators when planning your community. So let's say that we're done with scenario 1 and we want to go to our scenario 2 so we have a comparison. So now we want to start painting this scenario. We're going to go to Edit Scenarios, choose Scenario 2. It's going to bring in the paint palette, and it's going to bring in the paint palette again here as well. We're going to go to File again, and we're going to define our Scenario 2. We want to make sure that we're connected to the right file. Which we are now. And now we can paint again by starting editor and choosing our paint type. Maybe in this scenario we're going to develop these parcels down here. And maybe we've decided we've made a mistake by painting too much here. There is an erase function, so let's use that. And we can erase any mistakes if we painted too many parcels simply by using our erase function. And so at this point, we can compare our different scenarios so that we can make informed planning decisions in our communities. So we'd go back to our scenario 2, and we could compare the outputs and weigh the pros and cons of each scenario. So at that point, you want to end your edits and save. And at that point, you will have information whether you need to show it to the public or maybe to other community leaders or decision makers, but all very valuable information in the planning process. Thank you.